Welcome to helping homeowners access property tax relief with the new online tools from AARP Foundation Property Tax-Aide. My name is Crystal Downey. I manage our digital platform, specifically our online tools, and lead our research initiatives for Property Tax-Aide. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us today. This is really an important topic. I've been with Property Tax-Aide for about 2 years. And I've learned just a tremendous amount about property tax relief, which I didn't know very much about when I first started. So I understand there's a lot of learning to be had in this group, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Next slide, please. All right. So what is Property Tax-Aide? Property Tax-Aide is a free resource that helps homeowners and renters more easily find, understand, and apply for property tax relief. And I'll talk a little bit about how we do that in just a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about why Property Tax-Aide exists and why we entered in this space. Next slide, please. Okay, so there are basically three main reasons why Property Tax-Aide exists as a program. One, to address the awareness gap. Two, to increase participation within property tax relief programs among the eligible population, which helps us support aging in place approaches. Now, in terms of the awareness gap, we know based on past and recent research that not a lot of people are aware of property tax relief. In fact, some of the first research projects that AARP Enterprise undertook was in the late 90s, and that research suggested that only 8% of the eligible population participated in property tax relief. So overwhelming majority of people weren't participating, leaving potentially millions of dollars on the table that they were otherwise qualified to receive. And so I just want to talk about some of the recent research that Property Tax-Aide has contributed to in the form of a Foresight 50 plus survey that AARP Enterprise puts out every month. And that survey went out this year, and it surveyed 1,000 older adults across the country about this very topic. And while the research suggests that there is an increase in awareness of these programs, it also tells us there's a lot of work to do. Next slide, please, Leslie. So I just want to talk a little bit about the top line results of the Foresight 50 plus survey. And the big thing here is that only about half of the people who were surveyed say that they were aware of property tax relief in their area. 36% say that they participated in property tax relief, which is really low. We'd like to see that number. Okay, good, we're back. So only 36% say that they participate in property tax relief. Now, of the remaining 64% who say that they are, who say that they don't participate in property tax relief, 48% say it's because they're not aware of it. 35% say it's because they're ineligible, and 22% say they don't know where or how to apply, which I will address in a few minutes. But the good news is that a vast majority of those who responded to our survey say that they're at least somewhat interested in learning more, and that goes up to very interested. So we still know that we have a lot of work to do to address that awareness gap, to increase participation, but there's a lot of interest among clients to learn more. But there are some additional challenges that I think speak to the low participation rate, and I'll go over that in the next slide. Next slide, please. So some of the challenges that I've identified through my research in this space is property tax relief can be very complex. Not any one program is alike. There's no uniformity, there's no consistency across the states, for example. So say your relative in another state from you participates in a program that has a similar title as the one that you participate in your state, but the qualifications are vastly different. And even the property tax relief programs in a state can vary widely in terms of their qualifications and eligibility. It's difficult to access in some cases, right? So I know based on my own research and by talking to others that work in this space, that there are states and local jurisdictions that don't make it easy to find their application or to find information about the programs that they offer to their residents. So in some cases, you are required to get in your car, call a taxi, take public transit, and go down to your county assessment office to fill out an application because they don't put it online. Or you have to call them, you have to find their phone number or some kind of contact information and order paper applications to be mailed to you. So that's not very convenient. And some states do a good job about this. They post it online. They have really good access to their information, but there's just no consistency across the states. The other challenge is that some programs are not tied to your income tax return. So you might notice that when you go get your income taxes done, there are different types of relief programs that you can also apply to when you're filing your income tax return. Well, in some cases, and in the case of New York, we'll talk about this a little bit later, that is a case. So the New York real property tax credit is tied to your income tax return. But if you do not make enough money to file a return, chances are you don't know that that program exists. And I know firsthand from some of our old volunteers, from our sister program, Tax-Aide, that they weren't really seeing clients come in to apply for relief because they simply didn't make enough money to file a return. So that can be another challenge, and it is part of the reason why we came into this space to begin with. Next slide, please. Okay, so how do we support you? Well, we have a website that we call our Digital Resource Center. We like to think of it as a one-stop shop for information. So this includes a curated data and information of property tax relief programs in every state in the country, including the District of Columbia. Now, it's not an exhaustive list because the first phase of our website, we really wanted to choose programs that are geared toward older adults with low income. So most of the programs are that, with some exceptions, but later versions of our website may include more programs for different types of populations. The other thing that we did recently was we developed a customized, individualized eligibility screener that each program featured on our website has. So on our website, we have property tax relief information for over 140 programs. Each of those programs has a unique eligibility screener. So a client or someone who is supporting a client can easily go on there, push that "Am I eligible" button, and it takes you through a few basic questions, and it gives you a good sense of whether you're eligible or not, and then you can go on and fill out an application. And of course, the other thing, part of this, is raising awareness, and that is us working with partners and collaborating with like-minded organizations that really want to serve vulnerable populations, especially older adults with low income. Next slide, please. So the types of relief that you will see on our website are, some of these might look familiar to you, but they're homestead exemptions, they're property tax credits or circuit breaker credits that you might have heard of, property tax freezes, deferrals, and assessment limits. Now, by far, the two most popular relief programs that you'll see on our website are the top two, exemptions and credits. All programs are meant to offset your property tax liability, either by giving you a credit or by exempting the amount that you owe on your property tax bill. Now, credit exemptions, there is some variation of them, but exemptions typically apply to homeowners. Some have age requirements, meaning that you have to be 65 or older. Credits function more as a function of your income. They tend to benefit low-income households. They can be available to renters. You just have to check with your county and or your state, but we do feature several, if not more, programs that are geared toward renters, or that at least renters can participate in along with homeowners. And they target, as I said, homeowners and renters, seniors, low-income households, long-term residents, veterans, people with disabilities, and surviving spouses. Although the majority of the programs that we feature on our website are geared toward the top three, you will see occasionally veterans and people with disabilities, but again, that will come in later phases of our website. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the part of the presentation that I'd like to go into a demonstration of our website. So I wanted to take a look at two programs from two different states. They are the Ohio Homestead Exemption and the New York Real Property Tax Credit. Leslie, I don't know if I can, because I'm on my phone, I don't know if I can do that from my phone, or if I could ask you to do that and I'll just guide you through it.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and send this over to Eric. He's actually the one that is sharing his screen. So we can
Okay, great.
And
while you're doing that, continue doing what you're doing. What you're seeing on the slide here, folks, is just the what you see on the website when you see like for the homestead exemption, the real property tax credit, and for all programs that we feature on our website, we have 4 basic carrots that we have underneath the program description. Once you click on each carrot, it populates. For example, the first one is eligibility, so it'll give you all the eligibility criteria. It'll give you the application deadline and all the required documentation you need to fill out an application. And then with the additional information and resources, I do my best to find all the appropriate contact information you would need to contact your local taxing authority with further questions or guidance on either getting an application or like filling it out or where you have to go. But in these two cases, Ohio and New York, both program applications for these states are available online, which is great. Yay. And one of them is attached to your income taxes. So that's good. They do provide a lot of good information on who to contact for additional assistance. So they are models, relatively speaking, because there are some that make it quite difficult to find an application. All right, great. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so this is our homepage of Property Tax-Aide. And yeah, you got it, Eric. So if you if you're working on behalf of a client, or if you're just interested for yourself, we have this interactive map here. You can either hover over any of the states, or you can use the drop-down menu to find your state. So let's go, since I know that most of the folks that are on this call are from New York, why don't we start with New York? All right, so we're gonna talk about the real property tax credit. For this particular program, both homeowners and renters can participate, which is great. As you can see underneath the title gives you a brief description of the program, tells you a little bit about the eligibility off the top. So 18,000, if you're over 65, you can get up to $375. If you're under 65, it's up to $75. And then if you click on the application deadline, you see that this particular program gives you a lot of time to apply. Now, of course, you want to try to apply right away, because then you get the benefit right away. But for this particular program in 2023, you have until April 2027 to apply. So plenty of time. And if you click on that Am I Eligible button, it's going to take you to what we like to call Tell Us About Yourself page. Right now it's optional, but we really encourage you to fill this out. It gives us a sense of if we are serving our target population. And with the email address, we don't, as you can see in the disclaimer there, we don't share your information with AARP for purposes of membership or paid offers or anything like that. It is for the sole purpose of us engaging with you so that you know when your filing deadlines are approaching, and if we can share more information with you about other property tax relief programs in your area. So we really do encourage you to fill this out. But for now, let's go ahead and skip the form for the sake of time. So if you scroll down, click on that again. Yeah, if you scroll down, you can, yep, perfect. This brings you to the actual screener. So let's go ahead and answer each one in the affirmative as if we were a qualified candidate. So the first one is income related, and then there's a residency question, and then there's if you were claimed as a dependent. Yes, if you're a homeowner or renter, if you paid property taxes, and let's submit it. Yay, we may be eligible for this program. Okay, so now that I know I'm eligible, I want to access all the information I need to apply. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that link. This is going to take you to the full resource page. And just scroll down to that first program, Eric. And as you can see, this looks like what we had in the presentation. So click on the, yeah, I think you can just exit that out. So why don't you go ahead and click on the eligibility and see, folks, how that populates all the eligibility requirements. Okay, and then if you go down to required documentation, that's going to tell you what you need in order to fill out the application. Now, let's say you need additional help or you're looking for some more resources. We have phone numbers that you call to order a paper application, or if you need further assistance, or if you want to look at the website where a lot of this information comes from, then there's a link to that website. Now, if you want to download an application, you can either do that from this spot here, or you can scroll to the top of the page, and on the right-hand side, you'll see underneath your resources, you'll see the real property tax credit application. And you go ahead and click on that, Eric. Yeah, continue. And there you go. Here's your application. You can, I believe if you go to the actual website, you may be able to actually fill this out on your computer. If not, you just download it and print it out and fill it out by hand. But this particular application is typically you would attach it with your income tax return if you're required to file. So yeah, for the case of New York, it's fairly straightforward, which makes it easy. You don't have to go hunting for an application or calling their office to get one unless you absolutely need to. So that is New York. Do you want to go? Ohio is much the same. It's just a different program. But let's go to Ohio just so people can see it, since I know there are some Ohio folks on the call as well. And see, now Eric is a pro. Okay, so this one is the homestead exemption, and it's a little bit small on my end, so I can't really, I believe that, thank you, Eric, appreciate that. Okay, so this is a $25,000 exemption. So it basically takes off $25,000 of what you would normally owe on your assessment. So if you're paying taxes on a home worth $150,000, that 25 exemption is going to exempt 25,000, so that you pay taxes as if you owe, as if your home value was 125,000, right? And so here's the application deadline. The application deadline for this year is December 31st. And let's go ahead and do the screener. And it looks like we'll do questions after this is over, which is in just a couple minutes. All right, let's answer in the affirmative, like we're eligible. Not very many qualifications here. Pretty straightforward program. Great. Now let's click on the, in the you may be eligible box. Let's click on that link there, yeah. And that brings you to the full resource pages. So you can see, I would go to the required documents. Let's see. All right, so you just like need an ID, you need copies of your ID, maybe your copies of your tax returns if you're required to file. And then under additional information and resources, you'll see the website where most of this information came from. And so because this particular program, you can file with your local auditor, you want to look up who that is and where to send it to. So go ahead and click that link. So you would choose the county that you or your client live in. And that will take you to contact information, either a phone number or a website. So you can either contact them to get an address, unless it's already provided on here. So we'll either provide an address, a website that you can go to find out what the address is, or a phone number so you can call someone and ask, where do I send this to? So we want to go back to the, and then for more information, like if you need a paper form mailed to you, for example, you can click on the Ohio Department of Taxation. So yeah, so we do our best to provide as many avenues as possible to contact your local taxing authority for further information or assistance. And if you go back to the website, we also have an application for this program. You just go up on top. There's only one program for Ohio right now. And there's the application. This application is pretty straightforward. Homestead exemptions tend to be pretty straightforward, as opposed to credits, which is based on your income. Homestead exemptions, it's not the same across the board, but in general, you typically only need to apply once. And then unless something changes, like you moved or someone died, or you transfer the title, then you would need to reapply. But for the most part, you don't. But I would still suggest either referring to our website or contacting your local taxing authority to find out for sure. Credits, on the other hand, you have to submit an application every year because it's income-based. So in the event that your income changes, which could be disqualifying, they want you to submit an application every year, and that's the same across the board. So that's a basic demonstration of our website. And I just want to let you know, I know I already said that this list is not exhaustive. It's also not exhaustive in terms of county level programs. You know, there are over 3,000 counties in the country. So, you know, we are thinking about adding more, but that's in a further phase of this website. So for the most part, we concentrated on statewide programs in which residents from across the state can participate in the same program. But just be aware that in your county or city, you may access different property tax relief programs that only residents of that county or city can participate in. So just be aware of that. And if you need help navigating that, I'd be happy to help offline. But that's pretty much it. I do want to open it up for discussion or questions, because I think that's where we get a lot of our learnings. But thank you for listening.
Thank you, Crystal. We do have a question from Krista Willis. What would a person do if they didn't have to file taxes?
Well, it depends on the program. So some programs will let you file a standalone return. So for example, in New York, where that program is attached to your income taxes, I believe they let you file a standalone return. So I believe that's the form is called. Oh, I can't look at it right now, but whatever that form is called. You don't have to none of these programs, or no, well, that's not true. The programs that are featured on our website that I just talked about today do not require you to file an income tax return to participate in these programs. So it really just depends, but for the most part, that's not requirement. There's very few exceptions to this rule, but for further guidance, I would always recommend contacting your local taxing authority for more. But in general, that should not be a barrier for someone to apply for relief.
Thank you. The next question is, will the link or application be provided in other languages?
Will the application be provided in other languages? Is that what you asked?
Correct. Yes.
So that is not up to us, right? Since we are not the ones, that's it. These programs are state administered, right? They're voted on by local legislation. So if there are applications that are provided in other languages, you'd either have to call them if that is necessary, or navigate let's say it's available on the New York Department of Revenue website. You'd have to go to that website to either request a application in another language or see if they already have one posted online. But we don't provide our own applications, if that makes sense. We just share what's available to us on the relevant taxing authority's website.
Thank you. And then another question is, for STAR credit, what is the deadline for 2023, 2024?
Oh, Eric, if you're still, well, let me see if I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I just don't know that off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the
Oh, I
website.
understand. I
My
also
website.
don't know.
Now, if you're still on there, let me see.
I'm on the website if you want to tell me where to go.
Yeah, if you navigate to New York, well, I can bypass the okay, yeah, if you scroll down to yes. Okay, do you see the application deadline right there? So in this particular case, generally the application deadline is the beginning of March. That varies a little bit by these certain jurisdictions that are listed below there. These are exceptions to that. And that's been pretty consistent over the years. Is that the particular program that you're talking about? Because there's also, Eric, if you scroll down one more program, there's the basic and enhanced. And the basic and enhanced is year-round filing, so long as you're eligible.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience?
I also wanted to take the time to also thank the AARP Foundation for creating this tool. Here at Blooming Health, we actually had surveyed our users, the staff at the CBOs, to get more insights on service gaps that are occurring in their communities. And we asked them, what key challenges do you face today that affect your top priorities? And the top two were time and also staff shortages as well. So with tools like this, it definitely creates more of a one-stop shop for them to be able to help their communities and make it a lot easier for them as well. Awesome. Well, if there are any no more other questions, thank you everyone for attending today. We are actually going to also send out a follow-up survey. And one of the questions that we're going to include into there is if you'd like more information as far as the communications we can help you here at Blooming Health to create to be able to identify individuals that may be eligible for these resources or to also help them through the screeners as well. Crystal, is there anything else that you wanted to add or cover on your end?
Not really. I just, again, I really appreciate everyone's willingness to participate today. I know we're having some technical challenges that didn't roll out exactly how we envisioned, but you know, we've had some great success with our eligibility screener since we launched in February. Tens of thousands of people have already completed a screener. Hundreds of thousands have visited the website. We know people want to know about this information. It's convenient. We did this research for you so that you don't have to. And we really want to put money back in people's pockets. There's potentially millions of dollars left on the table, and we want people to access that that they've been entitled to. We know property taxes have been rising over the past year or so, so there's renewed interest in this topic. So we really do hope that in the capacity that you do have, that you'll share this with other organizations, and especially with clients that you think will benefit from this, and that you'd be willing, if they need additional support, to walk them through the screener. And as Leslie said, if you need additional information, then I'd be happy to talk to any one of you offline at some other time and walk through this with you again, or talk to you about how we can help you serve your clients. So again, thank you for coming, thank you for listening, and thank you for your patience. And we hope to work together.